So The Wonders of Alice tells a story. Well, it's a very modernised version of the Alice in Wonderland fairy tale. It's set literally in 2017, so not very far. And yeah, basically what happens is in this story, Alice is this young girl who runs away from home because her mum's an alcoholic. They have a very terrible relationship. So Alice then escapes and she mysteriously ends up in Wonderland, and she meets these very bizarre uh, characters. And when she does, she realizes that she's actually entered Wonderland at a very bad time, and she has to get out of there before the danger really starts to kick in. Well, I've had an idea to adaptate Alice in Wonderland for a while. I mean, it kind of all started really back from when I adapted Peter and the Wolf as a modernised story. I mean, after we did that, I remember contacting Charlie, saying, "Oh, I've got this idea for an Alice in Wonderland adaptation. You know, it's a very modernised version, but it's all humans. There's no animals, but it's done. You know, they all have like different identities and stuff like that." And Charlie was like, "Yeah, it sounds like a great idea." So we called it The Wonders of Alice, and we wanted it to kind of stay kind of with the same tone of the fairy tale, but done in a very original way. We didn't want to dress up the characters as animals or anything like that, and you know, because otherwise it just looked really strange. And plus, there's been other adaptations that have been like that. But when we did the short film, it turned into a complete mess because the lead actress of that film didn't show up at all until 2.5 hours late during filming. So she was very unprofessional for the past 2 days. So because we didn't like the way it was edited, because the actress wasn't even there with the other actors, we had to change it. So me and Charlie met up one day and we said, why don't we turn this adaptation into a movie and reboot it? So every time we kept talking about a full feature film, we just kept coming back to The Wonders of Alice. So we thought, okay, let's just reboot the whole thing. And now we've got a brand new, fresh movie. But what I wanted to do was not also... There's many things I wanted to do with it and not do with it. I wanted to make sure it didn't copy any other adaptations. I had to watch many Alice in Wonderland adaptations to make sure it wasn't similar to other Alice in Wonderland films. I didn't want people to think I was spoofing Disney films or any other adaptations involved. I wanted to make sure that people knew that this was a very original version of the film and it was completely different, and it was, you know, it's sort of taken its toll on a very different scale of Alice in Wonderland. I also wanted it to be very feminist because I wanted a lot of female characters involved, because my latest movies always have a lot of males in them, so I thought we better make it very female heavy. I wanted it to be very colourful because it had to be a very colourful looking movie. And also, you know, it just had to be, yeah, just very different really. And I think I've managed to make an Alice in Wonderland adaptation which is very different. Working with the cast was incredible in this film. I mean, the casting wasn't as bad as the short film. This was much easier to cast because once I announced I was doing a movie with Alice in Wonderland, a lot of people jumped right into it. The first person, of course, I'll have to mention is Sarah Sapphire, who is just one of the most incredible actresses I have ever worked with. She's very educational, she's very smart, very funny. Just such a lovely, down-to-earth human being who knows her stuff. And we had a real good laugh on set. Like, it was kind of funny because she wasn't originally meant to be Alice, but then when we casted her to replace the original actress, because the original actress was really, really ill, we said to Sarah, you know, this is how I want the character to be. And, you know, she's a very timid young girl at first, and she turns into a very feminist, strong character. You know, she just managed to, you know, knock it down and do the project so well, and you know, and she just played such an incredible Alice. Like, she played a really incredible turn of events kind of character where she starts off quite innocent and then slowly turns to be quite a strong person. And Sarah just nailed it. And us working together was really fun because she's easy to wind up, and we have such a laugh. And because I worked with her the most as well, we had to make sure that we built that chemistry on screen. And so the film is definitely a buddy comedy. And that was quite a deliberate choice. It's kind of like an 80s buddy comedy where you pair up two people who you would never think of pairing up. And then you see them together, and they actually did such an amazing job. And Sarah definitely did a fantastic job. With every movie I do, I always like to make sure that, you know, a villain is interesting in the movies. And I always like to cast actors who wouldn't really look like villains but can play villains. And so finding the princess role was almost literally like finding a needle in a haystack, because I didn't know anybody who could play this role. I remember going through my mutual friends and connections, and I just couldn't find anybody. And what I was looking for was someone who could play spoil, seductive, manipulative, you know, nice, and then turn very evil. You know, just literally flip the personalities. And so I was going through all these show reels, and I was looking at all these actresses that have done all these show reels. But the show reels that I saw, most of them were all the same. It was all depressing stuff, you know, oh, my boyfriend's beat me up, and oh, I've lost my job, and oh, I had to find out he was cheating on me, and all that sort of thing. And it was just all the same sad stuff. There was no happy show reels. So luckily, when I found Alex's show reel, I saw it, and I loved it because it was a mix of comedy, drama, and I just loved her character in it because the personality was just so perfect, and the look of her suited what I was looking for in my brain. So my gut feeling was like, you have to cast Alex as the princess. So I did. I met her up in Manchester. We spoke on Instagram before. Then I sent her the script. She loved the script. She wanted to meet. I went to meet her in Manchester, and for 2 hours we were talking about this role. Like, I was saying to her what was going to happen and what the role was like and the comedy and everything. But luckily, she thought it was hilarious and she really wanted to do it, and she did. And I've got to say that she was just phenomenal. Like, seriously, she is such a very talented actress, and I'm so glad that I was the one who got to put her in her first feature film. And yeah, she was incredible, and I know she'll definitely go far because she's got talent. And next time, if we ever do get a chance to work together, I'd welcome her back with open arms. Yeah, finding a king and queen wasn't easy either, but when I was looking for who could play the king and queen, the reason I chose Manoush as the queen was because, well, Manoush can do posh, you know, she can do a very posh kind of queen character, and I just thought it would suit the look of her as well. And of course, Rennie, I always like to squeeze him in a film, and I thought the perfect character for him would be the king, because, you know, he's got the beard and he's got the look, and if he put a crown on, he would just look like a king. And so it was kind of a little bit, you know, showing their posh side together. And you know, it was good. It was good to put them together as the king and queen, and they did a phenomenal job, and they were very funny as well. Because that's the point. You know, this king and queen isn't always supposed to be dramatic or anything. They actually have to be funny. And they were very funny, and they did a phenomenal job together, and they just look good as king and queen, you know, because the look suits them both. I couldn't have picked a better Tweedledee and Tweedledum. You know, Swaley and Bo together were just so funny. I mean, for Tweedledee, Tweedledum, I did want them in the film, but I didn't want one actor to play two roles because it just wouldn't happen. So I thought, you know, I had this vision of two guys who were kind of like bully boys in jail jumpsuits. They're like ex-cons who go around bullying the other characters of Wonderland. And, you know, the first people that came into my head was Swaley and Bo. And, yeah, I mean, I explained to them what I wanted them to do and how they were going to be. And they both were just incredible. Like, they both made me laugh so much. And it's so funny because when I showed pictures to people of who was playing Double and Trouble, they used to go, oh, they look a bit scary, but they're not. Honestly, Swaley and Bo, they are the most softest, most loveliest guys you could ever meet. And they were just so funny. Like, I just knew they would be so funny together. and they were great. Like the chemistry between them was great, and they played a really good, funny, comical villain duo. And I definitely put them back together again as something, because they worked really well together, and they just made me laugh so much on the set. For finding supporting actresses as well, like I said, for female heavy references, we had Lucy Lewendon play Katie Pillar, who is the weapons organisationer, if that makes sense. And we have Miriam, who plays Chastain Cathy. Chastain Cathy, sorry. Yeah, she plays that. And no, they were no, they were fantastic. Like Lucy and Miriam are both fantastic actresses. And I've worked with Miriam before on many projects, but she was fantastic as Chastain Cathy in the short film, and that was our first film together. So I had to get Miriam back to play Chastain Cathy. There was no doubt about it. And this time she was a fortune teller, and she just looked so well for the role. Very colourful, very gorgeous, and just mystical as well. It looked amazing. And Lucy, Lucy's a great actress. Very feminist actress as well. She's played a copper in many projects and stuff, and I thought her as a soldier would do really well. She did. She did a phenomenal job, and we get on really well on set and everything, and we had a really good chemistry on the screen as well. So it was nice to have them both involved on the projects, and I'd work with them again definitely, because they're both incredible, talented actresses. When we did the short film, Charlie played the Mad Hatter, but he was called Hattington. And yeah, I said to Charlie, would you come back as the Hattington character? And he said, yeah, definitely. And everyone loved him as Hattington because he had that Tourette's feel, where he shouts every last word he hears, and it was just hilarious to have on the film. And also having Charlie team up with Sammy and Lauren together as a trio, them three were just so good together. Like they were just such a great pairing, like as a trio, and the chemistry between them all was there. They played their roles amazingly. Sammy, as Michael Hare was just so suited for him. I just love the idea of a character falling in love with Alice and trying to stalk her. It was just quite a funny idea I had. And Doreen's character, she, played by Lauren. I've worked with Lauren before and stuff, and she's a fantastic actress. And and it was great to have her in the film, and especially playing a character that kind of swapped from being villain to hero in a way. And she gave out a really good, strong feminist performance as well. But Charlie's performance as Hattington will definitely be the mark of the film. And also, what makes me laugh as well is that me and him, as best friends, we're playing rivals in this, and it's quite funny because, when we're playing duo best friends, we tend to argue a lot anyway as them characters. So it was quite fun for us to play characters that hated each other. And because Hattington and Richard, they despise each other completely. I mean, Hattington especially despises Richard. I think to him, Richard is this sort of like little worm, a very unimportant person, and just sort of like a little man getting in his way, and Richard just hates Hattington because he's just so annoying, But what also is funny as well is that, despite us playing enemies, me and Charlie's chemistry on screen never dies. We can play best friends or enemies or strangers, and our chemistry is always there. I love working with Charlie, Sammy, and Lauren. They are friends of mine and they're great actors, and I'd put them in any film, especially if they're right for the roles. And we have such a laugh on set, and it's just great to film with them. It's just really fun to film with them all the time. No matter what film we do, it's just always fun to work with those guys, and I love them all, so they're great. Well, I play Richard White in the film, and he's the White Rabbit character, obviously. He's a very odd character. He's a con artist who sells broken watches. He's not very popular with the characters of Wonderland because he's conned quite a lot of them, especially Double and Trouble and Hattington. He's very paranoid, like a rabbit, likes to always listen out for danger, and he despises the princess as well. I mean, he absolutely despises her. Not because of her evil plans, but also the fact that she can't remember his name. And yeah, I mean, you know, Richard is he's a character who kind of starts off as quite a stubborn character. You know, he doesn't really care about Alice at first when he meets her, but then he slowly starts to warm up to her, and then they start to form a really strong bond, you know, like a brother and sister bond. And it's nice to see that, you know. And it was kind of nice to see a change in Richard, because when I wrote him, he started off as a bit of a dick and started being all nasty to Alice and a bit bullyish at times, but then he slowly started to become this sort of genuinely nice guy. But that doesn't mean he still had a few little moments of hesitation along the way, you know. But he was a fun character to play, you know, because normally I play like sort of dumb, silly characters at times. Richard wasn't, you know, he's not a dumb character. He's quite smart. He knows about Wonderland, but he's just a very paranoid character. He doesn't quite know what's safe and what's not anymore, because everything to him is a danger. And he's sort of so protective of Alice. He's kind of like, don't go there, don't go here, you know. And it's quite sweet, really, to see that, because he's protecting her, but he doesn't want to show any affection. I am really looking forward to the release of this film. I don't know what the reception's going to be. The good thing is my last feature film back in 2017, Cash in the Pond, has done extremely well, and that was made very quickly and with not that much of an effort, really, to be fair, because that was just a fun, silly film we did, but it's done really well. So with this film, we've gone bigger, we've gone better. We've gone bigger, we've gone better, and we've also, like, you know, we've really gone for this one. Like, this is a big film, and it's got an amazing cast of actors in it. You know, everybody is fantastic. Even, you know, the crew helped me as well. You know, everybody done a fantastic job. You know, everyone involved, and I can never be enough grateful to everybody who helped me make this movie, and you know, and to everybody who was part of it. You know, I love them all, you know, very much, and I can't wait to get on with the next projects. Really, you know, I'm already working on my next feature film, and I'm also working on some more short films as well. But when The Wonders of Alice comes out, this will be one of those movies that will hopefully have a big impact this year, while I'm working on other projects. So yeah, it's up to the audience to decide if they like the film or not, but I am looking forward to the reception. I'm hoping we get a good reception out of it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So